Men, nothing takes it off like Noxema medicated shave. Take it off. Take it all off. Nothing takes it off like Noxema medicated shave.
The closer you shave, the more you need Noxema. Noxema medicated comfort shave.
Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro Country.
Come to Marlboro Country. Look, welcome back, y'all. I don't know what happened. It's a goddamn restream error. Tried to reconnect. It take too long. I'm like, nah, you're never gonna reconnect. I'm not getting hit with that sauce move. You'll be sitting here all night. All right. But look, check it out. I'm gonna just jump right back into it. If people want to connect the two together, appreciate it. They could do that. But basically, we're still in the early portion of this here review about how this is an abusive relationship. Now, look, don't forget our 4 criteria here. The irrational belief that the abuser is omnipresent. The irrational belief that the punishment is your fault. The irrational belief that if they don't hurt you, they'll hurt loved ones. And the irrational belief that your sense of self-worth is that you find your sense of self-worth in the oppressor. Now, think about what happens. You got a class full of terrified people in front of you, and you're trying to hear their stories, and they start telling you about how, like I said, they're not allowed to drink alcohol, not allowed to smoke weed, even if it's legal. Imagine that you're a young lady, you have a sexual past, you know, had a couple boyfriends in high school, couple boyfriends in college, couple boyfriends after college. You get married, settle down with a good Christian man, and you simply try to communicate some of the things that you may have figured out along your journey that you like sexually. Hey, I really like it if somebody does this, kind of like this position, kind of like don't like that position. And rather than them being like, oh, cool, thanks for that feedback, you know, anything I can do to make this a more mutually enjoyable experience would be wonderful. Instead, they're like, well, you know, I waited until marriage to get to know you, and now I have to deal with your previous sexual immorality and the sin of your past, right? Like, in other words, you hear this thing where women talk about their husbands having to like bear the sinfulness of their past before they got married. It's just wild talk, right? And then they tell you they're not allowed to go certain places, they're not allowed to have certain friends, right? Like, this would be terrifying to us, but we hear Christians talk like this all the time, and we celebrate that relationship. And so I think that Uncle Bobby's suggestion is a really important first step. First, you got to lay your cards out on the table. Boom, this is an abusive relationship. I'm not going to take this. Then number two, I'm not going to sit here and endorse this abusive relationship. Don't tell me what a good provider he is. Don't tell me how he's always been there. I don't want to hear how he's your friend in your time of lonesomeness. I don't want to hear any of that, because if I start letting you spin me that tale about what a friend we have, then, you know, we're going to be leaning on the everlasting arm up in this bitch, and I'm trying to get you off that arm as quickly as possible.
That they are not being held accountable by their church or their community, and thus feel free to engage in activities that are not in line with biblical standards. Others may struggle.
Pause and say, we're not going to make through it.
All right, Caterpillar.
We're not even, that is built, #unprofessional. We are literally not 60 seconds in to this fucked up ass video, and I'm already pausing the fucking tape. So much in fact, I can't remember why I just paused the tape. What was that? Hold on. Okay, roll the tape. Hold on.
Additionally, some Christians may feel that they are not being held accountable by their church or their community, and thus feel free to engage in activities that are not.
Pause the tape. That's why I paused it. Biblical standards. Which ones are we talking about, Christians? And stop saying, Robert, don't reach into the Old Testament. That's where the Old Testament, that's where the fucking 10 Commandments are, Christians. That's where your Leviticus 18:22 is, you know, the one that tells you to love gay people so much that you fucking hate their guts. You guys pull from the Old Testament all the fucking time until someone like me tells you what's up.
Yep.
Which biblical standards are we talking about?
Also,
Christians?
where does
you're
God
probably
come
gonna hear a
from?
knock on the door because a delivery just showed up. Buddy clearly can't hear a fucking thing, but the other two idiots, they're probably going to lose their mind. Hold on. Told you. Did you hear that? Uncle Bobby's learning how to order things online.
Yes. There it is.
Maybe next time I should tell them, don't knock on the fucking door. Back on topic. Again, which biblical standards? The one that says when your daughter's raped, you should sell her to her fucking rapist? Which biblical standards are we talking about? The ones that tell you exactly how fucked up you can treat your slave? I mean, again, pick and choose, pick and choose, pick and choose. That's all you Christians do. Roll the tape.
In line with biblical standards. Others may struggle with a lack of commitment.
All right, now look, folks, you know we got to add some commentary to this bitch right here. Listen, this is an incredibly destructive behavior, right? Where when you're trying to call out problems you have with the biblical narrative, with the biblical God, with the biblical story, they constantly do some song and dance. Like, for instance, Rebecca over at Bread of Life, she does this all the time. So she'll talk about an issue, let's say, universalism or whatever, and she'll take a particular position. Okay, I'm anti, or she's a universalist. Let's say she's into that. She'll be like, oh yeah, I'm into Christian universalism, right? Now she'll say, okay, so I'm gonna argue against the exclusivist position. Okay, cool, got it. Don't know why I'm watching this shit, but all right, cool, got it. Now there are these scriptures that support the exclusivist position, such as this scripture, 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 and this scripture. But we're going to set those aside, and let me tell you about these 2 or 3 scriptures right here that I really like. And it's 100% infuriating to me, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like I'm tired of it. That's to me that's a terribly abusive behavior. Like, there's no growth in these people. There's no taking in new information. There's no being honest even about what they claim to be the source text of their entire worldview. Like these are just lying, gaslighting people. I think Uncle Bobby's right about the fact that apologists is just Cajun for I'm gonna lie to you. And I'm starting to think it's like the whole conversation needs to change. Like, I want to roll up on these apologists like Rebecca and Sal and other, and just be like, why are you a liar? And not let anybody ever talk to them about anything else. Just